Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3@gmail.com on PayPal. Is Israel becoming a victim of its own economic success? Israel's technology sector has rarely appeared stronger. High-tech exports reached a record 85 billion in 2025, accounting for 58% of the country's exports. The sector contributed 18.3% of the gross domestic product and almost half of Israel's economic growth. Venture capital funding rebounded sharply, while acquisitions involving companies such as Wiz, CyberArk, and the armies helped drive annual exit activity to a record 84 billion. The industry's success, however, is increasingly accompanied by an unexpected development. The Israeli Innovation Authority's latest annual report warns that research and development activity, senior management functions, and portions of the technology workforce are increasingly moving abroad. For the first time in decades, the number of R&D employees in Israel declined, while the share of workers based in Israel at domestic technology companies fell from 69% in 2019 to 62% in 2026. The proportion of senior executives located in Israel has also declined as decision making increasingly migrates overseas. The development is still striking because it comes during one of the strongest periods in the industry's history. Normally, companies relocate activity when growth weakens. Israel faces the opposite challenge. Success itself may be changing the economics of remaining in Israel. Dor Bin, the outgoing chief executive of the Israel Innovation Authority, recently described the country's technology sector as standing at a crossroads. While Israeli companies continue to attract investment and build globally competitive businesses, part of the workforce, capital, and operational activity is steadily shifting abroad. This may not be a trend felt overnight, but over time it could erode the relative advantage upon which the startup nation was built. Been warned. The Israeli Innovation Authority report suggests this process is already underway. Much of the recent expansion in R&D operations has taken place outside Israel, particularly in Eastern Europe and the United States. The decline in the number of Israeli-based senior executives points in the same direction. The immediate temptation is to blame geopolitics. Israel remains engaged in a prolonged regional conflict. Uncertainty remains elevated and investor sentiment continues to fluctuate with developments on a battlefield, yet the underlying forces appear broader and potentially more durable. Technology itself is changing. For 3 decades, Israel benefited from a simple economic proposition. The country lacked abundant natural resources and a large domestic market, but it possessed a deep pool of highly educated engineers and entrepreneurs. Scarce technical talent became Israel's comparative advantage. Global technology companies established development centers in the country. Venture capital flowed into startups and software. Exports became a key engine of economic growth. The success of that model depended on scarcity. The harder it was to find highly skilled engineers, the higher the premium investors and employers were willing to pay for Israeli talent. Today, that scarcity is gradually eroding. Companies can increasingly recruit talent globally. Distributed work has weakened geographical constraints, and artificial intelligence is beginning to automate tasks previously performed by highly paid professionals. And the AI is perhaps the most significant of these changes. The latest generation of AI systems is not merely improving productivity at the margins, increasingly it is performing tasks that once required highly trained knowledge workers. Software development, quality assurance, customer support, content generation, and data analysis are being reshaped by AI assisted workflows. The technology is unlikely to eliminate demand for engineers altogether, but it is changing the relationship between output and headcount. The issue matters particularly for Israel because of the central role high tech plays in the economy. According to the Israeli Innovation Authority, employment in the sector rose to approximately 400,000 workers in 2025, representing 11.4% of the total employment in Israel. High tech has become not merely an important industry but one of the country's primary sources of growth, exports, and tax revenues. Alex Zabarinsky, chief economist at Metav, argues that Israel faces a triple risk from the accelerating adoption of artificial intelligence. As he notes in his weekly review, Israel's service exports, which are the engine of economic growth, are concentrated in software, computing services, and software license industries, areas that are at the forefront of exposure to competition from AI applications. The challenge extends beyond exports. AI adoption allows companies to become more efficient while Israel's reliance on high tech employment is unusually high, with the sector's share of employment roughly double the European average. At the same time, the strengthening of the shekel is squeezing competitiveness and profitability, adding pressure at the moment of rapid technological change. Evidence of adjustment is already emerging. In recent months, several prominent Israeli technology companies, including Wiz, Radia, and Amdocs, have announced workforce reductions as they streamline operations and adapt to changing market conditions. Smaller firms have followed a similar path. A121 Labs reportedly reduced its workforce by 60% as part of a major restructuring effort. The implications may extend well beyond software. Much of the recent attention surrounding artificial intelligence has focused on digital applications. However, a growing number of companies are attempting to bring AI into the physical world through robotics and automation. BMW recently announced plans to deploy humanoid robots developed by Hexagon Robotics in production facilities in Europe. On the surface, the announcement may appear incremental. Industrial automation has existed for decades. The more important development lies in how these machines are trained. Amadou Robert, president of robotics at Hexagon, points to an advantage in imitation learning, a process that allows robots to learn by observing human workers through videos or monitoring centers. According to Robert, the technology can reduce training times from months to days. The goal is straightforward. A robot observes a human completing a task and learns to replicate it. The best translation is when a teacher and the student have the same form factor, Robert said, explaining why humanoid robots may prove particularly effective at learning from people. He described a future in which a robot could observe a worker performing a task and then carry it out independently, suggesting that such capabilities may be only a year or two away. Bill Ray, distinguished vice president analyst at Gaither, estimates that within 3 to 5 years, robots may be capable of performing simple tasks after receiving voice instructions. Come back for part 2 of this post. Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.